Hey everyone, Chris here from New Zealand. Right, so we're back with our second episode today on the 24th of November, at least in New Zealand. It's good to be first in the world, so we get to brag at it and receive first sunlight and also have a first look at the markets for the next day. Right, so yesterday we had a look at a couple of stocks that I mentioned, my top stocks. Those were ADI, Zebra Technologies. I also had Pfizer in there, although I mentioned I'm not a fundamental trader. I use technical indicators mainly to determine my trades, and I use my own platform called Market Investor Pro, which in a past life I was a software developer, so I still dabble in that, and I developed this as a tool to help me identify and find stocks with the best potential to provide me with a profit on trades within a day or a few days at least. So my strategy is to run through multiple trades per month, and accepting that I won't win them all, but I try to win more than I lose. And I always set my allowable losing risk at 1R, if you will, and my profit at about 2R. So I've set up my platform to do that. So I've got an initial cash value, I've got a default investment value based on that cash value, I've got a loss percentage, which is a percentage of that cash value, and you can see here it's set to $250, and I start taking profits at around $450 or more per trade. And if I do 20 trades and I win 60 to 80% of them, then that means a good month. We do lose some, and as I mentioned before, that's the cost of business for me. And I also know that sometimes, the profit margins that I take are much less than what it potentially could have been, especially in the case of NEO here. But as I mentioned, it's not about trying to maximize those profits, because that increases the risk of actually losing if you hang on to them for too long. I use technical indicators to ride out the waves, if you will, and I specifically look at the stochastics, and I buy when it's oversold and I sell when it's overbought. And by doing so, I yield consistent profits throughout my platform. I'm not a financial advisor, so full disclosure, these are my thoughts and interpretations of the markets, so please do not base your decisions in your trade investments purely on what I am sharing with you. This is mostly for information, and if you're keen to use the same system that I do, feel free to reach out. Anyway, let's jump straight into it. So we had Zebra Technologies, and we can see the market has just closed. In fact, it is now EST time is 5 minutes to 10 at night in the US. Here in New Zealand it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so market is closed and the post market is currently still running. So on Zebra we've turned a negative from yesterday into a positive today, so it's at 129. If I look at the technical indicators for Zebra, we can see from the stochastics we're reaching the top, which means it's a cue for me to start closing out this deal. Although I see strong momentum with the MACD, so I'm going to let it ride out a little bit and hope that we can push that a little bit further. But I'll keep a close eye on that and close it out as soon as I see that stock dropping a bit. I'd rather take $129 than a negative value. We'll get to Pfizer in a second. On ADI, same story. Running okay, a little bit of a profit there, nothing much, but it's building. So the stochastics hasn't reached the overbought level yet, so I'll let that run for another day or so and see what happens. Pfizer, I mentioned I'm not a fundamental trader before, but I did, have a feeling on this one. I guess everybody does, in terms of the corona and vaccine, and I was hoping that pushes up the stock a bit. It's been up and down, at least it's not at a loss, but I guess on the 10th of December when the FDA makes a decision on whether they're going to approve this vaccine, we'll see some action there. But again, I'll keep a close eye. I don't like having stocks and money tied up for such a long time. I usually like to let it go within, at least 5 to 10 days if possible earlier. But we'll see how this one pans out. I've closed off a couple of other deals, which means I've got some cash available to spend again. And on those ones that I closed off recently, you can see here on the 24th, right, which is today's date, I closed off this one here, which was Live Pearson, made a little bit of a profit, not much. Best Buy, some profit. I closed it off because I think they're about to go down again. Then some good results on Match Group, right? Some good results on Spotify and decent results on CMC Materials. So next step, what stocks am I going to be looking at today? And you'll notice right off the bat, I've got XPeng here in my list. Yeah, usually with fundamental trading, when you hear the news, it's already too late. They've gone up like 37+% just yesterday during market and a bit in post-market already. You can see that's up 3.31% in post-market. So I probably wouldn't jump in now, although it might still go up from here, who knows. But that's very risky trading, and I usually don't like to do that too much. Right, so let's look at our stock finder and what stocks I'm going to be looking at today. I'm going to set that maximum close value to 2,000, the minimum to $40, and I want a volume greater than 500,000. I'm going to be looking at stochastics, look back 2 days for any stocks that are above 20 but below 34. So at that, near that bottom line of the stochastics, near that 30 line really. And we want stacked EMAs. So I want the 18, 50, 100 EMA all, above each other, and then lastly the 150 SMA. So I want them all stacked from 150, 150 and 18 nicely in a bullish kind of pattern. And I'll look at an ATR, the average true range of, let's make that 5, because I like a bit of volatility. That means usually a little bit higher returns that would yield. So this is going to run for a while. It's going to scan through 7,119 stocks, and I'll just pause and resume once we've got some results back. Okay, so we are back, and you can see that we're almost done here, almost at 7,000. So from my parameters, we've come up with 21 potential stocks so far from various industries, and the task now is to run through them and start shortlisting from this list the ones that we want to look into a bit further. Now, first thing you need to do, or what I suggest doing and what I do, is looking at the industry, right? So while we wait for this to wrap up, okay, so there we go. Let's try this again. So the first thing I like to do, we'll keep this open so that doesn't disappear, and I'll just pop that down there. First thing I like to do is to look at the sectors, right? So you can see we've got various industries here: finance, capital goods, technology, blah, 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 healthcare. So if we look at finviz.com and you go to groups, right, here the groups tab, then you'll see the one-day relative performance for various sectors. By default, you can look at specific industries as well, but we'll just look at the sectors. So energy, doing great in the 1 day, in the 1 week, doing great in the 1 month, doing great. So energy, definitely a good sector to look at. Financial, did great in the 1 day relative performance, not so great in the 1 week, but good again in the 1 month, okay? And so on and so forth. So the next thing you want to do is head over to sectorspider.com. right? So sectorspdr.com, and what I do here is I also look at the various funds, the sector funds. So I want to start looking at finance because we've got AMP here at the top. Before I jump into it, let's just click on financials, and you click on the link that is provided, and let's just see how this performs compared to the S&P 500. And what you want to see there is an upwards trend. You want to see something that's bullish, and you want to make sure you don't get caught inside of a bearish sort of trend like we've had here on October the 30th, since there's been going up a bit, and it seems like just after November 13th it's been heading on a bit of a downward trend. So that's something to be wary about. As a rule of thumb, if there is investment in a specific sector, the chances of about 75% that any stocks belonging to that sector will follow the trend, right? So there are exemptions, of course, to this rule. that I made up, but that's just my kind of the way that I operate. All right, so I'm going to step through all of these, but I won't bore you with each and every one of those. I'll just show you what I do with the first one, and then we'll speed it up. So let's look at AMP. So I select it, and I'm going to look at the indicators. So once I've clicked on view, it'll add it to my watch list temporarily, and now we can look at the indicators. So of course we can see the stacked EMAs because that's what I set my search criteria. We know that the stochastics will be near the bottom, so let's just look at the trend here and what that's looked like in the past few trading days or weeks. Not too bad. We can see here from the MACD that there's quite a gap, and it doesn't look like any imminent intersection between those the MACD and the signal line anytime soon. One thing about the stochastics though, it's just reached the bottom. I'll keep this one on my watch list, but I'll wait for it to make the dip and turn back upwards, and once it hits that or looks like it's going to hit that 30 line at the bottom, that's when I will get in and look at the stock again, making sure we haven't had a turn and any trends there, and I'll possibly go for this one. So I'm going to keep this on my watch list for sure, and I'm going to do the same for the other stocks and filter out the ones that I would like to trade with. Right, so still running through the stocks here. I'm on Google at the moment, or Alphabet Inc. And one thing I wanted to just share with you is, although we can see nicely stacked and bouncing off of this EMA 50 here, one thing that I did pick up is, first of all, the stochastics. We could see there was a slight upward trend in turning from oversold, heading back upwards, but that took a turn down again. And also we had a crossover here of the MACD onto the single line. And my rule of thumb is, if it's within 5 days, it's okay. I mean, if it's not within 5 days, then it's okay. But the price of the stock is not low, and we can see that it's trending downwards a little bit. Also from the relative strength index, we can see that it's broken to below this 50 line here, so I'm not overly confident it's going to bounce back up right yet. So I might not consider this trade at this stage. Let's move on to the next one here, and I'll pause and go through them and resume once I'm done. Another quick one while I'm scanning through these, and I wanted to mention to you, Linda PLC. You'll see that although we've got nice stacks here of the EMAs and the SMAs, and we've got a fairly decent looking stochastics, and although the blue line here is above the red line, it does what I like to call duck face, and I don't like duck face. Duck face is bad. So it looks like we've got an uptrend here in the signal, but kind of a little bit of a potential downtrend on that blue line. So they might intersect, and they're too close together, and that gap looks like it's closing, and for me that's a no-no. One thing I do like is the upside down duck face, which is usually a good one. And by the way, duck face is something I made up, but it tends to work for me though. So I'll continue. Okie dokie, so I've run through all of these, and this is what I've come up with. So AMP looking good. DHR, I'll have a look at that one definitely. Honeywell International, definitely go for this one. Innovative Industrial Properties, yes, I'm going to buy into that one. JKS, the symbol, so what's that? Jinko Solar Holding, that's energy and renewables, so yeah, definitely. M&T Bank Corporation, finance, yes, for me. Match Group, I've made profits off of this one recently before when it was on a downtrend going up on the stochastics, so I'm going to try and do that again. And then Zimmer Biomet Holdings, so that is my short list for today. And as I mentioned before, trade responsibly. Don't just take my word for it. I put in a lot of research and investigation into my trade decisions, and I share them with you, but I'm not a financial advisor or an investment expert at all. I kind of make it up so I go along and formulate my own patterns and strategies. They seem to work for me, but I'd advise you to create your own and consider this as maybe just some supporting indicators contributing to your own research. Thank you, and good luck, good trading, and I'll see you again tomorrow.